Hi, it's Gracey Tech here, and thanks for joining me for the 2-month review of the Dell XPS 13-9300. So after using this laptop for 2 months now, and on a daily basis, I can safely say that I definitely made the right decision for myself when I purchased this laptop earlier this year. However, saying that, there have been a few minor annoyances that I will address in this video. So to find out what I loved and what I disliked about this laptop, keep watching. So before I go into the 2-month review, I'd like to preface this section by saying how important it is to properly research a product beforehand so you really know what you're going in for, to have realistic expectations, and to also really understand what you need in a laptop. Now, I'd like to briefly explain what my circumstances are so you can understand why this laptop is the right fit for me. I am a university student studying an engineering discipline. I also do not want to spend too much money to buy essentially a laptop and a desktop and, I don't know, a tablet or whatever. I really wanted just one device which had the capability of a desktop, which was also portable, that I could take to university to take notes. So first up on my list of good things to talk about is the general performance of this laptop. So I have no complaints in this area. This laptop has done me really well for the last 2 months. As I said before, I use several CAD programs, even cloud computing software, just remote access stuff. And the laptop has really performed really well. I know there are a few YouTube videos which talk about the Wi-Fi card being a little bit unreliable, but I've had no issues in that area and Wi-Fi connection has been really good. Second of all, I cannot praise the 4K screen enough. So as I have said before, obviously you are spending a lot of money for the privilege of having a 4K screen, and it comes with the drawback of a shorter battery life. But being stuck at home, it has done me really well. The brightness is incredible. The detail is incredible. The colors, incredible. How many times have I said incredible? Probably too many times. I know the color accuracy isn't as good as, say, a MacBook, but as someone who is not like a digital artist, I just edit some videos occasionally. The screen has been a really wonderful experience for me, and you know, I love being able to watch YouTube videos at 4K, and to see all that detail on screen is just really awesome. So another thing about the 4K screen is that, of course, to get touchscreen, 4K is the only configuration that you can get it. So obviously I've been loving the touchscreen. Again, it's a bit of a pricey addition. It costs you several $100s to get 4K and thus get touchscreen. But the convenience, the ease of use is just unparalleled. You know, so I can just sit back and scroll through whatever it is I'm looking at, whether it be my Netflix recommendations or a news article I might be reading, or just my Facebook feed. So obviously as a student, there's another really useful aspect of being able to touch a screen, and that is simply being able to interact with the screen and draw diagrams or graphs as you need while you're taking notes. So I can do this, basically draw a simple line graph, and obviously this is really useful for an engineering degree because it's impractical to have to make all your notes into words. Sometimes they need to be drawn, and this means you don't need to take paper and pen to uni anymore. I mean, who does that anyway? But obviously now you can have all your note-taking needs in one device, which can also function as a desktop replacement at home. So obviously something I've touched on before is the typing experience. It's absolutely wonderful. I went to a lot of stores, you know, JB Hi-Fi, Harvey Norman, even Officeworks, to try out all the keyboards of laptops from between 13 to 15 inches, and this was the best one. It's just really good to type on. Great feeling on the palm rest. Trackpad is amazing, really responsive. It's really smooth. It's like a glass feeling, and you never feel chafed or anything. It doesn't get oily after a month. The color of this keyboard is still really good. It's exactly the way it came. It's not more yellow or more greasy or anything like that, you know, which is, you know, one of the things you'd hate for your white laptop to become yellow. It would just be really gross. One of the things I really like about this, and which is also kind of small, but it's the fact that you can charge on either side. So there's a USB Thunderbolt port on both sides of the laptop, and this is so convenient. You mean, like, you don't notice this until you're actually using it, but being able to set up anywhere and not have to loop the charger all the way around is actually so good, because that is just really some visual clutter you'd really rather not have. So at my desk, if I'm charging on this side, look, the other side is clean, and if I want to charge on the other side, it is also very clean. So that's one of the things I've really liked about that. Obviously, it'd be remiss if I didn't talk about just how gorgeous the laptop is. So, you know, you can't deny that how it looks is a really big factor why someone would want this, and why I'm still really happy with it. You know, I went to all those stores, I saw the other laptops, and when I saw this, you know, it's just, your breath is taken away a little bit, because it just looks so much more modern, so much sleeker. And 99% of that is just because of the bezels. I mean, the really small chassis is also part of it, but those bezels, everything else in the market, the bezels are just so large, it looks like it was made in the last decade. It's 2020, guys. I think other manufacturers can really take a leaf out of Dell's book and just make their laptops look better, because currently Dell is killing it. And I think that brings me to the end of the overall positives, and now I will talk about just some of the issues I have experienced while using the laptop. So obviously one of the biggest concerns is about battery life, and I do want to say that ideally I would have purchased a laptop with a resolution between 1080p and 4K. One of the reasons I was really attracted to the Huawei MateBook X Pro, which was the top contender, one of the top contenders, was because it offered a 3K resolution option, which is between, you know, the maximum, which at the moment is the 4K, and 1080p, which is, I think, you know, most people won't notice it, and it's probably, it is completely fine for everyday usage because this is a small screen. But after using the 2-in-1, which had a 4K screen, I really got, I guess, spoiled by the vividness and detail of the screen, and being able to watch, you know, YouTube videos that are in 4K in that detail. So I really was looking for something a bit higher resolution than 1080p, and less than 4K, because I understood that 4K screens do drain a lot of battery. Unfortunately, I didn't decide to go for the Huawei because I felt like there wasn't really any support for it in Australia, and obviously they have continuing troubles. So there was a lot of uncertainty about the future of Huawei, especially in Western demographics. So I decided to go for the Dell when it came out, because it really fit all my criteria except for the resolution thing. But because it was still higher than 1080p, I decided to go for the 4K just for the better cinematic experience. But I acknowledge that ideally I would have gone for a slightly lower resolution that was still higher than 1080p. The battery life would have been better. I think the Huawei MateBook X Pro does have a longer battery life, say up to 8 hours. I can't say for sure, because that's just going off reviews I've seen on YouTube. So there's that. But saying that, I am really happy that I decided to go for the 4K screen over 1080p, just because I guess in lockdown I've spent a lot of time in front of the screen, and I really appreciate the user experience, how it looks, and you know, that feeling when you open the screen and there's just, you know, a really pretty highly detailed image looking back at you. It's a small aesthetics thing. So, you know, practically speaking, if you want something that will last you the entire day, you can take it on the go without needing to charge it a single time, then yeah, go for full HD, and that would be the smarter option. But, you know, I kind of made the trade-off in my head that I would carry around the power pack, because I know at uni there is a lot of PowerPoints around. I understood that somehow during the day I would have to charge it maybe once, and those are the decisions you have to make whenever you're choosing a laptop. It's not the best option for everyone. You need to know what is appropriate for you, what your circumstances are. You know, if you're taking it on the go on public transport and you know there is no power access, then go for the full HD option with the longer battery life. It's really up to what your preferences are, what your situation is, and choosing what's appropriate for you. So my biggest issue with this laptop is actually something that has maybe nothing to do with the hardware, but is a bit confusing. So I have a Bluetooth headset, which I will show you guys now. So this is the Sony 1000X M3. This has been really good. I really enjoy it. I won't talk about it here, but basically for all my other devices, whether it be my phone, other laptops and stuff, when I need to switch between call mode and stereo mode, that happens seamlessly. So the mic on the headphones aren't always turned on. When you're listening to music, you're using stereo mode. And then when you have a call, a video conference, whatever, the headset will immediately switch over to, or well, it should switch over to call mode, where you can use a mic. So for some reason, this laptop, and only on this laptop, when I have a video conference, basically the mic won't turn on unless I go into control panel and then sound and manually change the setting to hands-free audio or call, which is really, really annoying. But I have been playing around with it, and sometimes it changes automatically to call, and sometimes I still need to go and change that manually. So that's my biggest annoyance with this. But I don't video conference every day, and I don't anticipate I'll be doing many calls once quarantine is over and restrictions are already lifting. That is the number one issue. Second, this is a hardware thing, and I talked about it briefly before. So it's this angle, how far back it can go. Now, some of you have said, oh yeah, you know, that doesn't look bad. When you're using it in reality, it's more like this. So you can see how you would have to tilt your neck down a tad like this to look down at the screen. So one of the reasons why I think this viewing angle is kind of poor is that essentially, since last year's model, the screen has gotten taller, and this bottom bezel has really shrunk. So the screen begins really low down now, so you actually get a lower down screen overall. So if I bring in the 2-in-1, you will see this much more clearly. This extremely large bottom bezel, I'd say that's at least 2 to 3 centimeters, maybe 2.5. It actually helps lift the viewing angle, so your neck is not being as strained when you look down on it. In comparison, yeah, this screen is larger in a smaller space. They're the same height, but obviously this screen is like at least 1 to 1.5 centimeters longer vertically. You are looking further down, so that's another reason why someone would want to push the screen as far back as possible. Also one of the reasons why you might consider a 2-in-1, because check this out. Yeah, isn't that just great? So obviously there's many advantages of a 2-in-1, but there's also many reasons why you would choose a regular clamshell laptop over this. I will also probably make a video about, you know, the benefits of a 2-in-1 over the benefits of a clamshell laptop sometime soon, so do subscribe for that. I did get myself a external keyboard and mouse to use, and that's been really good for me because I can put this a bit further back when I'm using it for a long period of time. So this is definitely something you only notice if you're sitting at the computer for like maybe 4 hours in a row, which I definitely do probably on a daily basis. So I would recommend you either lift up the laptop slightly for the better viewing angle, and also have an external keyboard and mouse when you're using it for long periods of time. This might not be a consideration for you, especially if you have your own desktop at home, but as someone who doesn't want to spend the extra money to have a desktop and to have everything in one device, this is really useful. Other than that, I also had some minor software issues. So I think it was that when I tried to turn the brightness up and down, so obviously this is working fine now. I can turn it up and down with ease. For a period of maybe 1 to 2 days, when I pressed this, it would get stuck and the brightness wouldn't change, it wouldn't decrease or increase, which was really annoying for using it at night. It just really hurt my eyes, and then it'd be too dim during the day. So actually a simple Windows update really fixed that issue for me. So you guys, when you have it, make sure you're consistent with the Windows updates. Don't leave the laptop on standby for weeks on end, which I may be guilty of. Really try to do your best to at least shut down the laptop properly a few days, 2-3 days. That way you make sure you're really on top of those Windows updates and you're getting the latest software, and those bugs don't persist, because it's really an ongoing project, the software as in, so you really should be on top of Windows updates. Okay, that actually brings me to the end of things I found annoying. So it was only those 3 things, which I'll recap for you. So it was the Bluetooth headset connectivity. That's something I still think there may be a solution for out there. I just have to search harder. The angle of view is slightly restrictive. Again, there's so many ways to overcome this. When you're using it on the go, it's completely fine because you're not using it for 4 hours in a row. But when you are using it at home, I do recommend you to have, at least a mouse and an external keyboard, so that you can, for your comfort, adjust the viewing angle, adjust the distance so it's really comfortable for you. And I had that software issue, which is really easily fixed. Just keep on top of your Windows updates. So that actually brings me to the end of the pros and cons list after 2 months of daily usage. I will now take the opportunity to address one of the questions someone asked me in the comments. So previously I have had 14-inch laptops, and I can say that there really is no major difference for me. I hardly notice the smaller screen. I think what's really important is that this has a taller screen, like a 16:10 aspect ratio, and that really helps with productivity. In particular, you see these top bars and bottom bars that you always use, but you have more vertical space in the actual program you're using, whether that's in the internet. See, the bar is up here. Obviously you can change how much space these take up. So if you go into display settings, you can change it so that you're less zoomed in all your applications. So I just went ahead and went into display settings. So this is particularly useful when you have a smaller laptop and you want to make sure you're maximizing the space. So there's the text. The 300 is what it came on, but I've got it on 250. Display resolution, I wouldn't change that. Obviously people have said that if you lower this, you can increase the screen. You decrease the screen resolution and you increase the battery life. I'll just show you briefly what it looks like if I decrease the screen size text. So as you can see, the bottom bar became smaller, text became a bit smaller, things just take up less space in general. Obviously that's not for everyone. People appreciate having larger text, if you've got poorer eyesight. And I think this is the default that it comes in. So obviously things take up more space. So that actually brings me to the end of the video. If you liked this video, please thumbs up. And if you really liked it and think I might make good content, then please do subscribe. I spent a bit too much time on this video, really. You can see I edited it over several days, so that's why the times and dates jump around a bit. And I also am using a month-long free trial of Adobe Premiere Pro, which luckily enough my university offers, but obviously it won't last forever. So if you really enjoyed this and think I did a good job, or you have any advice for me to improve my videos, then please comment down below. I also have a few videos planned and they should be coming out in the next few weeks, so do watch out for that. Anyway, I've had a blast. Thank you for joining me today. This is Gracey Tech, over and out.